I like to appreciate what other people doing in their work. Um, Actually, it's very interesting. It gives a whole different look to it, but effective nonetheless. Shout out to nonetheless. All right, so under the circumstances, I'm looking for. Whoa. Yeah. There they go. Yeah, so yeah, I mean the information is good, it's deep. I'm gonna share this young lady's uh, clip, and she has a good thing. We're not gonna do the whole video, but she really talks about you know federal courts, why they're better than state courts, and what their actual function is. I think it's very useful. Um, what we're also going to do is we're going to play a video I did a while back. I pre-recorded this video dealing with such decay, trust, and um, remedy on that end. So that's going to be just something I bring out in the archives, kind of let you know. A lot of people have seen it over this latest time. I remember that thing only had like 30. That thing's at 300. You know what I'm saying? It's at 300. But yeah, it's we gaining some ground, which is good. We gaining some ground. What's up, everybody? I am not a crook. But yeah, we have to give some shout outs to some people. A lot of people, I'm not gonna say them by name, but a lot of people that have been supporting this channel, been sharing it out, and really putting good energy out there. So appreciate everybody. People will be coming in. I just sent out the alert. My tooth is hurting. This thing is hurting. Like this side, got rid of the wisdom teeth. This side I didn't. And sometime, I was eating some almonds and that was a bad deal. Things get caught up in there. Whew. So I'm not one to pull teeth. Like I like all my teeth. But in that situation, those wisdom tooth should have came out. Real talk. I'm just saying. This thing is hurting. So that's why I'm like, my all tight and stuff like that. Because hurt. But coach used to say, are you injured or are you hurt? I'm like, man, it hurts. Well, get your ass back in the game. Yeah. If you're injured, I'll take you out. You won't come out? No, I won't come out. Okay. It's enough. Get your ass back on in there. All right, so let's get going with the StreamYard cruise. We're about to StreamYard cruise down StreamYard Boulevard. Yeah, tried all that. This is a different situation. I put the cloves in there, ground cloves with the olive oil. I do that. That usually helps. But, I let that roll. If it doesn't work, then I got to submit to my Tylenol. You know what I'm saying? Mine's a little bit different. My function's a little bit different. The pain right up here. So, all right, let's get it. All right.
Put cinnamon on a banana and just watch what happens. In the United States of America, the pharmaceutical industry makes over $500 billion a year. Not $1 goes into teaching you that your kitchen already has everything your body needs. They do not tell you that. Pharmacies do not like this because half their customers would disappear overnight. Grab one fresh banana, add a teaspoon of cinnamon, squeeze in half a lemon, add a glass of warm water, blend that whole thing until it is smooth. This drink hits your insides like a reset button nobody told you existed. It calms inflammation, detoxes your liver, and keeps your blood sugar in check. If you are from the US, comment your state, and we will send you our complete detox protocol straight to your inbox. And make sure you are following us, because the moment they take this down, we need to be able to reach you. Put
happens. This reaction is exactly what it triggers inside your penis.
To a jar, add garlic cloves, then add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, now juice of half a lemon, add a tablespoon of honey, and finally add a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt and fill the jar with warm water. Seal it and let it sit overnight. Drink 1 to 2 spoons of it every morning on an empty stomach.
Apple cider vinegar and garlic together dissolve the calcification blocking your blood flow, strip the sugar coating your vessels, and restore full circulation back down there.
Add the word yes, and I'll send you the link to my full male health protocol, 50+ recipes and methods this industry wants buried. Make sure you're following me so I am able to reach you.
Pour this on garlic and watch what happens. This reaction is exactly what it triggers.
Lock the doors. Ain't nobody going home. Yeah, security. This boy. Hey, man, look at here, man.
Hey, man.
I can't throw your glass. That's about it, man. I'm throw somebody goddamn. Ooh, I'm talking about my boy. Look at here.
Right, so you have oxtails, mac and cheese, lamb chops, goat, rice with beans, plantains.
Yeah,
You know.
I want to see this here, man. Yeah. Good as gold now. Let me see. Let me go over here and try one of these here first. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They say you save the best for last, right?
Right.
That seemed like tender. Let me find out if you got some nizzle. Let me tell you something, brother. Boy, I've been around today. This tastes pretty nice. I'm talking about get down like a fat rat. Wait a minute. You said this is the red. Look at that. I was snapped. I'm trying to break his back. You didn't know I know nothing about this fish is hidden. Huh? Look at that fillet. Just pure deep punching. That there, this right here. Boy, that's what you need. Boy, look at here. This is tenderism. I appreciate it.
I appreciate
Boy, you got out.
Baltimore, Jerkin Night, Baltimore.
Here we are. Hey, it got some snap back in it, huh? Booyah.
Why not this black man? Where is the outrage and where is the viral moment for Marquise Martin out of Drew County, Arkansas? He was found murdered in March 2020 and there has been no justice. I'm about to show you a lot of things that will tell you this should have been a mainstream news story, but it has been silenced and they tried to silence me. But this is my 40th video about Marquise, and there will be 50 and 60 and 70 until he has justice or I have no breath left in my body. In addition to that cross-burning photo I just showed you, that was not a generic photo. That was taken in Drew County, Arkansas. And here is a letter from those cross-burners to Mark Gober. Well, who is Mark Gober? Mark Gober was the sheriff of Drew County, Arkansas from 2005 to 2022. And here's a quote from an article. Gober contends the photo has been altered and said his son apologized for posting it. Well, what photo did his son post and then apologize for? This is what he posted. Noah Gober, the son of the then sheriff Mark Gober. And this was posted when Marquise was still missing. You see, he went missing in February 2020 before he was found murdered in March 2020. And you can see the text on that photo says, "Can I help you?" N-word. Now, a lot of people talk about this photo, so I want to zoom in on one aspect of it to tell you why they talk about it. Some people believe that they can see something under that blanket. I'm going to leave that up to your own interpretation because I don't want people to get caught up in saying, well, I don't see anything under that blanket, so there's nothing to this case. There is so much more to this case. And although it has not had a viral moment, you can find plenty online if you just search Marquise Martin, Drew County, Arkansas. I would love for you to start with this one from On AR Watch, Corruption, Racism, Murder, What You Should Know About Drew County. In that article, they do talk about Mark Gober and Marquise Martin. And if you do search this case online, you're going to see a lot of rumors and speculation. And while I am not going to present those to you as fact, I will tell you that some of the names that come up time and time and time again, well, they have recent charges or they are in prison. Here's one example, a different example, and yet another example. And because I've posted about this case so often, people have asked what I think happens. Now, I am a smart woman, and because these people have already threatened me, I'm not going to get online and tell you what I believe happened, even though I do have a strong personal belief of what happened. I'm not going to get online and talk about that. It would make things too easy for them. But I will let you read this. You can also find this online. It's just public information that we're discussing, and we will continue to do so. I have begged since 2023 for people to care about Marquise Martin. Say his name, research his case, make content of your own. They want this silenced. Do not let them have that silence. Go to my playlist that this video is in. Do your own research. Say Marquise Martin's name. Why not this black man? Where is the outrage and where is the viral moment for Marquise Martin out of Drew County, Arkansas? He was found murdered in March 2020 and there has been no justice. I'm about to show you a lot of things that will tell you this should have been a mainstream news story, but it has been silenced and they tried to silence me, but this is my 40th video.
Well, I'm back with some more of my genealogy. This right here is a census from 1880. All of the I's were changed to B. No one writes a B like that. This is on pages and pages before and after this page.
Hey, let me come off you on this one because this is what I seen on mine. Some things that I saw look like that. Like them bees did not look like bees. Like they initially were bees. You know what I'm saying? Look different. Look different. So pay attention to this. I put this up there for you guys that's interested in this, that you might have so many in the family, and you know that black pretty much was not a word during that time. And I know some people would like to say, well, black didn't exist at that time. That's bullshit, you know, because you was called Negro. But that's an N, not a B. All right. Unless that's an N right there. Is that N? I don't think so.
And in 1850, she was classified as mulatto. In 1860, she was classified as black. On her DC, it says color.
Now, remember what I showed you guys yesterday. Black, colored, no, black, white, mulatto, Negro black, and it had Negro black. They had black in parentheses, and then it had mulatto and white on 3 separate occasions, 40 census, 30 census, and 20 census for my grandfather. Right? For my grandfather. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we in the ballpark.
I spoke about my grandfather in a previous video. I want to show you some more records that I found on, and I just find all this interesting. You can see the color of these people are Indians or Negroes. Here's more, here's more, here's more. What I find very interesting is some of my grandfather's siblings are labeled Indian, and some are labeled Negro. In 1920, they were black. In 1930, they were Negro. In 1940, they were Negro. And can someone please answer the question, why are they Negro in 1940, but all the birth indexes through the 30s, through the 40s, say Indian or Negro? Last thing I want to show you real quick is this ship manifest I found. First of all, you can see that it's a domestic route. I want you to see how they describe the slave. Dark, light, mulatto, other things, black, swarthy, tawny, copper, 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 griff, mestizo, quadroon. You can't forget red. There is no way all these people is African. It's impossible. It don't make sense. And most of these words prove that. Now I want you to look at some of the notes that were left on the manifest. This one literally says prisoner of war. This entire manifest shows that not everyone came straight from Africa. Prisoners of war was a thing. But there's a lot of y'all who are skipping over many indigenous ancestors to point to a random plantation and a check mark saying that this is your family member from Africa. No name, no description, no information, no ship, no origin, but simply because you were told that this is a plantation and you were a slave, you're going to say you're African, skipping over all of these indigenous Americans. Don't you see that indigenous Americans were the base and all these other people came over here and fucked us? We're not out here trying to erase people, and we're not just accepting the first answer that we see. You can't just stop at one record. You literally got to work hard for this, and you got to dig, dig, and dig. Did the person change or did the label change? Clearly. Inshallah, I'm back.
That was fire. Anybody that could type anything in the chat, you got to give this man a hand. You give him a fire, you give him a bomb, give him a thumbs up, give him something. That is one of the best presentations I've seen on that census stuff. It is. I would say one of the best. Because I haven't seen anybody's. And the ones I've seen has been decent, but it hasn't been like this because everybody, and you know, none of your business, how long we've been having these type of debates in these certain spaces. Ain't nobody been able to show that. Nobody. But see how he started it off with the B. Perfect. See what I'm saying? So you go back and look at that. Now, I'm going to show you my grandfather's father's native tongue. I'm about to show you this. And this is in the 1900s. About to show you the 1900s. All right. So somebody is lying. Somebody is lying. I'm going to leave that video up there because I'm going to come over here to the other video. My census thing I'm going to pull up. Give a little bits and pieces as it flows. So I'm going to leave that one up. You did good, though. You did good. All right, let's get to the next one. It's getting better.
So I just stitched this video about the slashes and the three dots where we know the truth now, right? He was connecting the Mississippi and Mayan and Egyptian through the number system, right? But I'm going to add another connection. It's crazy. So before I add the connection, we got to know how the number system works, right? So with the two slashes and the three dots, you get the number 13, right? If you look up here, the Mayans used only three signs, the dot, the bar, and the shell, right? This was to count their numbers, right? So we have the bar and the dots, right? So the two bars and the three dots would equal 13. And when I was making the connection in my stitch video, I showed the two bars and the three dots, right? They're stars, but it's really the same symbolism. which equals up to 13. How many colonies did they teach us about? 13? You're damn right. Somebody's been lying.
Somebody's been lying. Somebody's been lying. Now, this flag right here is the flag of Washington, D.C. Now, the stars that they have up there, what they say it is the 3 city-states, right? The 3 city-states, which is the Vatican, London, and Washington, D.C., the 3 city-states. That's what they call them, 3 city-states, right? Because all 3 of those city-states have their own police, their own everything, right? It's just like Washington, D.C. is not within the 13 colonies. It is considered to be the capital of the United States. And just like London, just like the Vatican, they have their own square mile radius. I think London is just a 1 square mile radius. The Vatican, I don't know, I think it's about the same, maybe a little bit more. But when he showed that right there, what we've been paying attention to, he did splendid. Now, anybody that wants to say, oh, man, that's BS. Oh, no, man, he reaching. What? Is he reaching? Is he? Well, depending on what view you come from, you know what I'm saying, you might want to, reanalyze, if that's the word, your stance and who you are. Because that makes perfect sense. This is why I say people got to understand language. And you understand language. If you understand language, then you can understand mathematics and all the rest. It makes sense. But that right there. And don't go over to China. Don't go over to them ancient scripts over there. Well, you just might find something that might be a little bit identical. You just might. You just might. Good job, young man. That is Rashad Poet. That brother, yeah, he's worth the time and effort. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Okay, right. I want to point out some things to you, right? I want you to follow along with me for a second. Now, under the word minor, right, says an infant or person who is under the age of legal competence. A term to, right, now I want you to notice something, right? It says an infant or a person. Or a person, okay? A term derived from the civil law which described a person under a certain age as less than so many years. In most states, a person is no longer a minor after reaching the age of 18, okay? Also see delinquent child, infancy, juvenile, legal age, majority. Okay. All right. Now look, right. Majority, full age, legal age, the age at which by law a person is entitled to the management of his own affairs and to the employment of civic rights. The opposite of minority. Also, the status of a person who is a major in age. See adult capacity and legal age. So what is capacity? Your legal qualification, competency, power or fitness, ability to understand the nature and effects of one's acts, the ability of a particular individual or entity to use or to be brought into the courts of a forum. Okay. Also competency, disability, incapacity, fiduciary capacity. Okay. So look, right? Notice how you have to register the birth certificate, okay? You could do this in every single state. We just go to Minnesota Rule 220 because it's blatantly out there for the general public, right? Okay, shall see? let's see, an affidavit or an affiant who states that he or she is familiar with the facts recited, stating that the party named in the said birth certificate is the same party as one of the owners named in the said certificate of title, and that thereafter the register of title shall treat said registered owner as having attained the age of majority. Now, we're going to go to somewhere most people don't take you. Fidelity. Let's see what fidelity tells you about the age of majority. Okay, let's go down here. First, you need a power of attorney. Okay, then after you get your power of attorney, you want your guardian conservator. Okay, you're going to need a trustee and a representative payee. And then when we scroll down to the bottom, it goes into managing estate planning. Okay, right. I want to point out some things.
All right, we're going to leave that up because this might change my trajectory a little bit. I think we already looked at this one. This, none of your business. I think we already looked. Hold on, let's see. I think I showed this before. Let's see.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid...
What? Is that what I heard before? What? I mean, Southern Poverty Law Center. You're giving money in the millions of dollars to these groups that are considered to be hate groups. The only way they're going to be able to beat that, because I saw some other things where they was talking about that they actually was paying people to infiltrate these organizations, and that they was actually working with the CIA and the FBI. But this is actually the Department of Justice, and the guy over to his left is the FBI director. So was this a Black Lives Matter type thing, or 2019, 2020 thing with George Floyd, where they pretty much destroyed Minnesota? And why was they just tearing down just certain things, monuments and stuff like that? I don't know. I don't know.
Members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing.
Interesting. 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 See the confusion that they have created in this world? Nobody knows whether they're coming or going. And when I say they're coming or going, that's themselves and these people. Nobody knows who's telling the truth. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. The trouble I've seen. Nobody knows the trouble. But hey, anyway, just keep it moving, man. This is absolutely asinine. I've seen this brother before. I think I've had him up here before. Another none of your business share.
The Hyundai plant in Georgia, 6,000 of the workers so-called quit. Saw videos that the plant that Hyundai sits on, and the reason why those 6,000 workers quit, because the indigenous people claim that land, claim that whole territory. Also, Marvel the comic, you know, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, all the artificial superheroes. Well, Marvel is moving out of Georgia and moving to the UK. I wonder why. Why all these countries or companies jumping fence now? Oh, that's right. The indigenous people that came back for their fucking land. If your birth certificate reads black, Negro, colored, African American, etc., and you indigenous, do you know you have an ironclad lawsuit against the United States under misclassification? You know you can go after the United States for misclassifying you. You can get fucking damages out the yin yang. They already shipped almost 20,000 so-called Native Americans out of this country.
That's a good find right there. None of your business. Now look, to address the Marvel thing and the Hyundai thing, what is absolute is that not just these big plants or what you're talking about like Hyundai, pretty much every single big corporation has their foundations on indigenous soil. Not in the sense that it's indigenous. You say, yeah, of course, Coach, it is indigenous. Everything is indigenous. No. We're talking about seats of empires. Just like most golf courses that you might view on TV. They have this whole thing that they have. And most of those courses, if you notice those courses, they have hills, mounds, creeks, bridges. All right? Now, to Marvel. I've mentioned this a while back, but this is when I probably, was first getting started. We was talking about Black Panther, I think. I could know somebody personally that has comic books where Wonder Woman, and a bunch of other Marvel comic and DC comic superheroes are so-called what you would call black people. All of them. He has them. I said, name one. He said, name one. Superman. Yep. Batman. Yep. Wonder Woman. Yep. He has them. And the reason why we got in the conversation is because he draws every superhero black. I mean, he do the Dragon Ball. He do everybody. Superman, he has, I mean, people didn't pay him like $300 for a black Superman. Any and everybody. Now, we knew back in the day, the ones that we saw that were black were Apache Chief, the Green Lantern, Black Hawk. They couldn't change that. But the Green Lantern was black back in the day. The old Super Friends, he was black. So it was interesting that in the present thing, when they did the Green Lantern movie, it was white. That's why it didn't do good. Everybody that was going to watch Green Lantern remember Green Lantern being black. I said, what about Captain America? He said, black. This is why at the end of that Avenger series, the brother that was Black Hawk. Oh, no, not Black Hawk, Black Falcon. Black Falcon ended up being Captain America. You guys never remember that, right? Never remember that. But yeah, I just want to bring it to your attention so you remember. At the end of that Avenger, the last one where Endgame. Yeah, Avenger Endgame. When the first Captain America in those Captain American Avengers series at the end went back in time, did whatever they did, all that. But then when he came back, that shield was there. And he was an old man. And when he was as an old man, he handed him that shield. He was like, what you doing that for? He was like, look, it's yours. You know, major stuff. I don't like to get into all the a lot of people really focus and put a lot of energy into those movies and all the esoteric things or the stuff that go along with it. But this is relevant. Stan Lee and his partner initially made all the superheroes in their comic books black. They was like, no, you can't do that. They was able to keep, and they showed that in this one thing they showed where a brother came in there and created the Black Panther. A brother created the Black Panther comic book. You know what I mean? And, the beginning didn't go over well, but then it went over well. Once they made the cartoon, right, they had a cartoon. And the only place when I saw it back in the day, they used to play it on BET. That thing had just as many episodes as the Richard Pryor Show, 5. They had in there, and this was Stan Lee. He whooped everybody's ass, even Captain America, beat him down. To where Captain America said, hey, man, we friends from here. Hey, we straight. Is we straight? We straight. And everybody else that came over into their territory didn't work out well for them. that thing was over. They was like, wait a minute, we can't have Black Panther whooping Captain America. That's gonna go against the whole. They shut the whole thing down. But that was the beginning or the origins of Marvel. All of those people were because there was one like group, and then they split off into Marvel and DC. Right. So yeah, DC. I think DC was first, and then Marvel came after that. But really, it was all one collective, and then they went a different direction. But in the beginning, all of those comic books, all of those superheroes were Black. Even the Hulk. That's why they made him green. If you have any comedic backgrounds, you'll know that. You know, green was a representation of something. But I just wanted to say that. UC Berkeley, and I think none of your business, she being out there in the Bay Area, and American Business, a firekeeper, people out there in the Bay might know this. But Cal Berkeley is sitting on top of an entire city. That city, Berkeley, has its own little thing. That's like your little college town type thing, like UCLA, or, you know, what you have. And most of these universities have their own towns. It's like a full city. And they are on top of an entire ancient city. Yeah. They have found that mostly all universities, college universities, Cal States, UCs, whatever it might be, is sitting on top or within a pyramid structure, some mound, some whole thing. If you go to Cal State LA, I went to Cal State LA. Cal State LA sits above the 10 freeway. Like, you got to look up. And then they have a picture in there before it was built. And it's on a mound, a pyramid, not just a mound. This is a pyramid structure. This thing is up high. So now this is California now. California. The Golden State.
They're cleaning off all those reservations. They're taking away their rights. They don't get free land. They don't get free housing. They don't get any money. They cancel all that shit. They took them motherfuckers straight out of here, bro. They taking them out of here
Man, watch your language. Watch your language.
By the fucking boatload, right? That's why you see these so-called Native American Indians, the pretendians. That's why you see them now making TikTok videos about, hey, do you feel bad, or are you ashamed of the dating of Native American woman or a Native American man? But my problem is you got illegal people telling illegal people that they can't be here. The only people that should be telling people they can't be here is us, right? See, y'all got to pay attention, man. Nobody came to our rescue. Nobody. Now everybody want to know, oh, when did black women and Latino women start fighting? Now you got these pretendians or Native.
All right, this thing is long. We're gonna let him stop right there. But I think he got his point across. Now, I got some comedy that's funny, but probably not funny. Some people.
Drop it in AI and say, tell me about this judge. What is he like to see in complaints? That AI goes and gets all the data about this judge from Pace. You can go get a judge's name, drop it in AI and say, tell me about this judge. What is he like to see in complaints? That AI goes and gets all the data about this judge from Pacer and before you write your complaint, it tells you exactly what the judge wants to see a complaint. Then you go and grab the attorney's name, drop it, and tell me, get me all the cases he won, and tell me what is normally his defense. So you can draft your complaint based on what you already know is coming. You can go get a judge's name.
Nice. Like that, done your business. I like that. All right. Let's go.
Get in here, man. Get in here. So one of my prescribers saying, something's not right. Getty, I pay you $1. If you can explain the 14th Amendment and immigrants and why ICE is doing what they doing and why Trump is still going after everybody, like something's not right. Like what is not right? All right, let's go down this rabbit hole. But I want you to take a screenshot first. Just take a screenshot first. Now, what this have to do with this, right? Have to do with this, right? And the bottom portion, which is called the end result of this, right? And I know it seems like, where you going with this, Katie? Like, where is you going, brother? Where is you going? Okay, all right. I'm about to show you what I mean. All secret.
All right, hold on. Okay, I'm on an hour. So I didn't spend a lot of time on this. All right, let's get it. I'm already on an hour. All right, we take out the music, the in-betweens. 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so we probably on about maybe 35, 40 minutes. All right, that'll work. All right.
Review. Now, who is the true Americans, right? Who's the true Americans? Let's just say, let me give you a prime example before I start. Can he be Jamaican if he American? No. Can he be Filipino and he the true American? No. Can he be the African? No. All right, so ask yourself this question. Can Europeans be Americans? No. Right? Can Africans be Americans? No. Right? Can any other race be Americans? No. They still immigrants, still in 2026. But let's continue. Now, in their own records, volume 113, part 13, or 0.3, right? Congressional records. The 14th Amendment is unconstitutional and held to be ineffective, invalid, null, void, and unconstitutional for the following reasons, right? You can go on and read for yourself. And now you can read for yourself. But one thing I want you to understand, you always see the word states. What does the word state mean? What the word state means? Now, in this Constitution, that's why they don't show you Constitution, the N is lowercase. And why is lowercase? Because it's still the 13 colonies, right? Go look in Black's Law Dictionary of the word united. It means nothing but a settlement of peoples. That's all it meant, but we think it meant us. The indigenous peoples, called the original Americans, right? The original Americans, right? No, it's the 13 colonies. Now, let me give you a breakdown of what a colony is. Go to Chinatown, it's a colony. Go to Jewish, it's a colony, right? But everybody think because they moved around the Indians in our neighborhood, they still not part of a colony. So if you invite new immigrants, they still part of the same colony, even in 2026, because he's a true American. They not the true Americans. They still immigrants, no matter which way you look at it. And this is why it would be unconstitutional, because it don't involve Europeans. It don't involve immigrants. It don't involve nobody else. This is why we will remain the true Americans. Does that make any sense? All right. Well, whatever. Okay. All secrets revealed.
He was like, all right. Well, he started confusing himself right there. All right. All right, so check this out. This is interesting. You know, don't get sidetracked. Just listen.
You know the Moors use white people as privateers to go kidnap other white people? That's what white people are afraid to study, I'll tell you. We were the Mameluks.
Now look, he said, did you know Moors? He said, did you know Moors utilize white people to kidnap other white people? He said something like that. Hold on, check it out.
You know the Moors use white people as privateers to go kidnap other white people? That's what white people are afraid to study, I'll tell you. We were the Mameluks, the Janissaries, the freebooters that the Moors used as henchmen. You really think we just came out the caves and took everything over? No, you fucking bozo. After the Moors uplifted us, we got into the Moors' house, married the daughters, and bleached out the royal Moorish line like a bad load of laundry. You know, they try to give it this fake history about old black people coming.
I gotta rewind this a couple times. Look. When he said that, I was like, wait a minute. Sabra Sum said he said that. He said that you think we came out the caves, kicked that. You don't know. We married in. Hey, that is the narrative. That is the narrative. The intermixing. That's what took down the Moors. The intermixing. These people. Now, these so-called white people that he's talking about him and his ancestors and his people and that girl right there, that's what they know. They was actually brought up out the caves to assist in their takeover, the Moors. These, what they call dirty Moors or whatever. But this thing gets better. I mean, it actually gets better. I'm going to go on mute. I just got a phone call. So this thing is going to probably repeat a couple times. But y'all need to get this.
Coming from Africa is full. The Moors use white people as privateers to go kidnap other white people. That's what white people are afraid to study, I'll tell you. We were the Mameluks, the Janissaries, the freebooters that the Moors used as henchmen. You really think we just came out the caves and took everything over? No, you fucking bozo. After the Moors uplifted us, we got into the Moors' house, married the daughters, and bleached out the royal Moorish line like a bad load of laundry. You know, they try to give it this fake history about old black people coming from Africa. It's full. They were the Moors already here in America.
You know what's insane? The Egyptian statues are screaming black phenotypes in stone. That's why all the noses are gone. Meanwhile, every pale Arab and Caucasian shows up like, we invented Egypt. Yeah, when? Last Tuesday?
Right, any Blackfoot in the house? Any Cherokee? Washington in the house? All right, make some noise for all the Moors in the house. You know, white people and Siberians, they call themselves Native Americans now. Yeah, we know the Moors were in America first. It's all a fuzzy-wuzzy euphemism for pale European people with a relatively established history of squatting.
You know, the Moors invented perfume for the white folks just so they didn't have to smell them because they never washed their ass. God damn, y'all are some stink-ass people. Look at the white people in the audience getting mad. Do you know European priests called bathing the devil's work? Leading to a continent plagued by the bubonic plague, powdered wigs were just masking beehives of bacteria. So now white people are suddenly going green. So let me get this straight. Europeans spent 1,000 years refusing to wash their ass, but now white people are worried about recycling plastic. The educational system is a fucking joke. It's an echo chamber where common sense goes to die. Most of these mind-fuck institution graduates are just oversaturated with superficial bullshit. $50,000 for a college degree? Degree means step down, you dumb fuck.
The buyer is a slave to the lender. It's right in the Bible. Slavery is completely fake. There's a lot of truth to that as far as the NPCs, the novel phenotype clones, but all of those people are one of them while they're talking about it. I don't know all of them, but for instance, I'm fully aware I have to delete this off of TikTok. None of those people are in the right gender. They all have the wrong size skulls. And that's the Pope on the ground kissing their feet. But they want you to think that that's the Moors. It's not. Because what shade of people is that? That's the Moors too? No. So they want you to sit around and argue about what you're entitled to. You're not entitled to anything. All of this is a distraction. Your life, you have to build it from the ground up. You have to lose it all. And I mean all.
Now, I don't know what that last part was about, but those people that you just saw, let me come off. I just had to come off mute for a minute. Let's go back here. These people that you're seeing right here, these people that are doing that. Now, that's a whole nother occasion. This is what you would consider to be your black nobility. What they consider to be the black nobility. These same people are your remnants of the Carthaginians. If you do not know who the Carthaginians is, look them up. They are descendants of what the Bible calls the Phoenicians. You can also look them up in Herodotus, histories. These Phoenicians ain't went nowhere. They just went into the back. This is your whole Django situation, right? Django is a representation of that. And they didn't like that dude for making that Django movie like that. You know, that's the one that did the little karate movie with the girl. I forgot what that's called. You know, he does things kind of off tilt a little bit. Or I should say off script. Better word. But these people right here, it's called black nobility. These people try to be, you know, a lot of people try to be careful with that. But if you actually look at the history, and you understand history, then you would know that these people that you're looking at right here, that this guy's actually grabbing his shoe. And this guy right here is not even like blinking, like it's nothing. Yeah, do that. Now, this guy got jeans on. This guy got jeans and a hoodie on. It's like they know. And this guy right behind, what does that mean? Now, that's just something for you guys to think about. But nevertheless, everybody's heard the black nobility. Everybody talks about the black nobility. But they take it back to the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the JP Morgans, and all these people that worked up under. Right? Remember, all these people worked for the Rothschilds. The Amshire Bowers, or what their original name is. But the timeline is very important for you to actually make this make sense, so it doesn't startle you when you see stuff like that. You go, wait, that's fake. That's fake. That's computer generated stuff. Oh, that's an act and all this and all that. And it's like, oh, a quick reaction. So you say, well, okay, well, let's look at the timeline. Let's look at the timeline. And I'll allot some time specifically to history. I'm just softening everybody up at this point in time, and so we can focus on law and what we're dealing with today. Nobody wants to hear about the past, even though it's kind of entertaining or it's relevant and interesting, but it's not important right now. Certain things need to be established first, because once you establish what's going on today, it's been put on the record, and you could then trace the line back. You can say, okay, well, who was who and who was doing what? Because that is the most important thing that I think people ain't ready for. I think people ain't ready for, and I'm pretty sure on a percentage level, that's what I'm saying, I think people aren't ready for. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying I think. Because I don't know the percentage of people that'll be like, oh, knew it. There we go. That's all I've been looking for. Let's take off. There might be some people that might lose their mind. I know I'm giving this more time than I should, but actually, I'm giving it the time that it needs. So, if you think about, I'm going to do this in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, we're going to move on. All right, 30 seconds. All right, let's go back to the 60s. Civil rights. What happened prior to that? What was going on prior to that? Supposed to be lynching. What happened prior to that? So-called Great Depression. What happened prior to that? We ain't talking about these acts. We're not going to mention any ACTSs. We're going to talk about major events. What happened prior to that? You had the New Deal. You know, Roosevelt occupying 4 terms consecutively. And prior to that, you have World War I, World War II. You have the Korean War after that. What happened prior to that? You had the famous Forum, immigrants coming in by the dozens. What happened prior to that? You had the Reconstruction. What happened prior to that? You have the civil rights, or the beginning of the civil rights in 1866, 67, 68. How did that come about? So-called the changing of the 13th Amendment, the addition of the 14th Amendment. How did that come about? Some Emancipation Proclamation. What did that cover? It was supposed to be the emancipation and freeing of slaves. Here we have Juneteenth. Okay, so why did that come about? Immigration. You have naturalization coming in. You have an expansion of the United States of America, which, well, I should say the expansion of the 13 United States over this period of time. What else happened? Well, we know on the face. We're not going to talk about bankruptcies. We're not going to talk about reorganization. We're not talking about that. Let's go further back. What happened? So-called the Indian removal in 1830. People moving. What happened prior to that? The French and Indian War. 1812. What happened prior to that? Well, that was the first federal census in 1790. What happened prior to that? 1789 is when you actually get the full function, the full completion of the United States. These 13 United States of and for America. That's what you have. What happened prior to that? New treaties being set up. What happened prior to that? More immigration. What happened prior to that? More immigration. Where was they coming from? From Europe. Well, what's the origin of that? 1492. What major event went down in 1492? Well, the Moors were expelled out of Europe. Who were the Moors? A group of people that ran what you would consider to be Western, Central, and Eastern Asia, what people now call Europe, Russia, Asia. Yeah. Not only did these people control that area, they controlled Africa, what we know to be Africa, from the north all the way down to the south. Now, where did they come from? The Moors, we don't know of a people actually considered to be called Moors. Who ran stuff before them? Have you heard of somebody named Hannibal? Yeah, I've heard of Hannibal. Who is that? He was the last line emperor in the Carthaginians. Well, What major event did they have? Well, that major event was the Punic Wars that pretty much took him down. Punic, how you spell that? P-U-N-I-C. Could that be related to a specific people or whole period? Yeah. The Phoenicians. Well, why did they call it the Punic Wars? And there was a bunch of them. It's like 3 of them, at least. Well, you have the Finnish. But the Punic Wars was like a world war. All of these groups went up against Hannibal. We're talking about everybody east of what you consider to be Western Asia and Asia Minor. They all came against him in his nation. Why? They all revolted in these areas. They all revolted, and they came over here, beat him up. But he still was so vast and so strong, he still didn't get defeated. The Phoenicians have never been defeated. What they did was they amalgamated. In order for them to keep what they have, they had to, I would say, give reparations. Let's use that term. They had to give reparations, pay everybody out. They had married into, they had took wives and took husbands and made alliances. And these people got tired, wanted to change it up. Ideology changed, philosophy changed, religious aspect of how they see God and how they see their people. And they want to govern themselves, self-government, self-determination, and bam. But were these people a race? No, they wasn't. They just lost major control across the Asia. When I say Asias, I mean Asias with an S. But their remnants was still there. For an example, you have, what do they have out there in Hindustan? The untouchables. What they call the untouchables, right? Those were the darkest group of people that you saw there. The untouchables. This is what they say. Caste systems that were set up to change them up in those areas. Where these people were to be seen as lower levels or the lowest on the totem pole, these people then became like Stephen in Django, advisors, ministers, preachers, scribes, people that still did all the renovations and innovations but could not take the credit. But these people were still revered as God. But they had to take a step back. So those that they considered to be the ones that that they had to play ball, those are the ones that they let in those areas that will be able to keep the secrets. Eventually, it got so overwhelmed with that, eventually they got whitewashed out. And here you have that right there. So these Moors, what you call Moors, was a derogatory term. They called them Morty. And the Romans used that term as a derogatory term. So as they got stronger and stronger and stronger, the Carthaginians or the Phoenicians got weaker and weaker and weaker. So then you had some people just say, hey, can't beat them, join them. So what they did is they went ahead and utilized these same people, just like the guy said, He said, hey, we just didn't take over. They brought us out there. We amalgamated and then ended up, pushing them out. So where these same people are now that went into hiding are now coming out now. Somebody released something. Nobody knows. But see, that part of the common sense conversation needs to be had. We don't need to get too technical. It's not technical at all. But we do know. And this is coming out of their history that they created. This is why they call it his story. It's their story. This is how they was able to come out to be freed out the caves and came into glory through the grace of God. Who is God? Who knows? And now they're here where they're at. And this is how they tell the story. And this is what we see on the TV. Why? Because this is their reality, not ours. Now, let's go on to the next one. Apologies for that long soliloquy. I'm off my soapbox. Now, we're going to get into this right here, but this is going to take us into a whole nother thing. What I want to do right now is I want to show this young lady. She actually has been talking about something. I want you to hear it from her. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this to the side over here. And then we're going to pull this young lady up and hopefully everybody is straight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this its own screen so you can have it. It's good information.
Did not trust the states to police themselves. Okay, so if the founders didn't trust the states, your ass shouldn't trust the states either. Serious. I'm telling you what it's saying. You can get this off archives. All
right, well, you guys know Sister Bethy. She's gonna say, well, I got a potty mouth. Yeah, she got a potty mouth, all right. So, hey, YouTube, hey, I can't do nothing about it. It's already pre-recorded, so whatever. This is what it is. This is how it gets. That's how we talk about it.
Didn't make this stuff up. I don't make it up. Go on their website. So, again, when the Constitution was written, the founders did not trust the states to police themselves. Under the Articles of Confederation, states, because when it was the Articles of Confederation, that was the first Constitution. It was just the Articles of Confederation. And under that, states violated contracts. They discriminated against non-residents. States ignored federal treaties. States abused their own citizens, and states refused to honor each other's judgments. So the Constitution created a federal judiciary to enforce federal law. And we all know federal law is the supreme law of the land. Listen to why the federal judiciary was created. When we say federal judiciary, we're saying all the district courts. District courts are federal courts. There's a difference. You have your state courts, which is the state's state courts, the 3 levels. But then you have your district courts. Those are federal courts. All district courts are federal courts. That's where all that supreme law of the land comes out, and the statutes that are when law that's passed that applies to the whole damn landmass. That comes out of district courts and the Supreme Court justices, of course. So the Constitution created a federal judiciary to enforce federal law, prevent state overreach, protect individuals from state abuse. Now, when we say individuals, we're talking about you, the individual, every damn United States citizen. You are the individuals. So when you're harmed by a state, like running the daddy, they hurt me, the district courts. That's what they're for, to protect you. It makes no sense to run to the state courts that harmed you for protection. That's why the district courts were established, to protect individuals from state abuse, to ensure uniform justice across the nation. I just said that. And look, this is written directly in Article 3. You ought to sit down and read it. See, the Constitution is like reading the Bible, too. You can't get it all in one reading. You got to study it. Put it down, come back, and study it. But these district courts were purposely put there to protect us as individuals. It don't matter. This ain't look, when I preach, it's not about race on my channel. This is to protect you, the individuals, these damn district courts, from abuse. Do you really honestly think, and this is the ignorance that our community has to get out of their head? Don't ever sit here and think that we Indians, we brown folks, are the only ones that are abused.
Now, the one thing that's important that really got me, well, not all of it, not that it was all of it, but the one main point, all of it was good, was that she said, do you expect to get, I'm paraphrasing, do you expect to get remedy in a state court against state officials? Now, that makes perfect sense. You're going to go to a state court and think you're going to get remedy, or you're going to think these courts are going to rule in your favor against state officials. You know what that's going to do? That's going to set off a chain effect. You see what I'm saying? So, that's key. That's key. See, that's why I said she's bringing it from a broad perspective. You know, so just work with it. We're going to do a few more minutes of it, and then, yeah, we're not going to use up her whole video, but we're just going to, I just wanted to get on this part.
By state. Don't ever think that. If you do, you have to leave my channel, because that is so far from the truth. Just like we get abused and treated harshly by states, so do other races. White, European, Asian, it does not matter what your race is. Abuse is abuse. Abuse from a state sees no color. You think it does, but it does not. I know this. I see it. So, we're moving along to number 2. Federal courts were established, number 2, to protect individual rights against state harm. This purpose becomes explicit after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment, 1868, was written because states were violating people's rights. We are the people. Every damn United States tax-paying citizen is an individual. So when you're harmed by a state, you run to federal court, run to daddy, say, they did this to me and they're doing this to me. Okay. And the 14th Amendment was written because, like I said, states were violating people's rights. States were discriminating. States were denying due process. States were refusing equal protection. So Congress, who are our senators and representatives up there in Congress, gave federal courts power to review state actions, to override unconstitutional state behavior, to protect individuals, you, me, and every damn body else that pay taxes. Protect individuals when states fail to do so. This is the foundation of modern civil rights litigation. Okay, let's keep going. This is important, you guys. You'll be able to watch this again, too. Federal courts were established. Let me see. I didn't change the page. I thought I changed it. And the third reason, to create a federal remedy when state officials violate rights. That's another reason why the federal courts were established. That's 3 core reasons. This is the third. To create a federal remedy when state officials violate rights. In 1871, Congress passed Title 42 of United States Code, Section 1983, which says, if a state official violates your constitutional rights, you can sue them in federal court. This law exists because, and the reason why, there's always a reason why federal law and statutes and titles exist.
If you've been in a car accident recently, there are 3 mistakes people make that can cost them tens.
This law exists because states often protect their own agencies. State courts can be biased towards state actors. Individuals need a neutral federal forum. Section 1983 is literally a federal check on state power. Okay? That was there to put you in. For years, I cannot begin to tell you. You can look this back. Even Trump talked about this. For years, they have been trying to get rid of central government. And that's what you don't want, because once they do that, you have no protection. You literally go back to the old days when it was just the Articles of Confederation. These are the rights you won't have.
Now, central government. See, when Trump said that, and she brought it up, this is the Federal Reserve. This is where central banking, the Fed, became the controlling power that actually took over central government. This is why no states, not even the federal, not even the district courts at this point in time, unless you come in, like she said, like an individual, like a United States citizen. That's the only way you're going to be able to get the rights or be able to get it claimed, because that's going to allow them to get their hands in it. The other thing that she's missing, that she missed, I guess she doesn't talk about, that she didn't talk about, was Chris, right? The Court Registry Investment System. That all these cases are securitized. And it's called the Court Registry Investment System. So, I mean, she's still of the thought that, you know, the Republic is around here in full force, and there's a way to tap into it. But if you're only able to get civil rights in the matter, and you're not able to get any other type of remedy in a matter where these state officials lose their job, 2, possibly can go to jail, go to prison, or as we see in 18 USC in 1581 and at 241, 242, that you actually, depending on how harsh the situation, get executed. So, but this is where it's at. This is where it's at. And this is a great breakdown of what powers the district courts have. You know, the federal courts, the district courts, this is the power that they have, is to check the states. This is why everything is uniform. Everything is uniform with the federal government. Everything is uniform, and they have to follow. They have to follow that. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
And we'll get into that because these are the same rights our ancestors did not have when they didn't go to Oklahoma. This is the right they lost. You didn't go to Oklahoma, so you don't have no protections. Ooh. So somehow we were automatically made citizens and gained these protections. Of course, it's due to fighting and protesting and things of that nature. But here's what you need to know. But this, let me tell you something. All three core reasons apply for all citizens of the United States. And we're going to really get into it. So now,
all right. Yeah, she gets into the birth certificates, but we're going to let her do her thing on that. We ain't get too much into it. I just want to get that basic, you know, foundation on what she was talking about. Not like that. So if you didn't know why federal courts and the district courts are in place, this is what they're here for. They are here to, what's going on nonetheless, truth be told, what's happening? This is why they are in place. Is checks and balances, make sure that the states are not in violation of the Constitution. Right? So the one thing that you guys know, well, I ain't saying need to know, but should know, if you didn't know, is that when you, if you're going to bring a state claim, make sure you reserve your rights to move it to federal court. I don't know. Hey, peace. Yeah. So it's. I've mentioned writ of quo warranto. So if you are bringing your rights into state court, you would like to have leave to remove it to federal court under a writ of quo warranto. And writ of quo warranto is on a one of authority. And if that state court becomes an incompetent court, meaning they are operating against their constitution or outside of their oaths, then you have leave to remove it to federal court because the state is incapable based on incompetency to provide remedy. Okay. We got to go over here to, this is an auction in Long Beach, California. This is an auction. And this is what goes on here. I mean, this is really not saying nothing, but I'm just setting this table so you guys can actually see what's actually going on.
Property up for auction, 520 Laurelton Boulevard, Long Beach. Bank is opening at $500. The upset price, $1,062,500. Do we have any bidders? Any bidders going once? Going twice? Sold. Back to the bank.
Back to the bank. Back to the bank. Back to the bank, you guys. Back to the bank. You guys want to hear it again? Let's hear it again. Back to the bank. Back to the bank. What does that mean? What does
for
that
auction,
mean?
520 Laurelton Boulevard, Long Beach. Bank is opening at $500. The upset price, $1,062,500. Do we have any bidders? Any bidders going once? Going twice? Sold. Back to the bank. Back to the bank.
Did you hear what he said? He said going once, going twice, sold, back to the bank. Back to the bank. Now, I just showed you guys yesterday, right? Just showed you guys yesterday about what takes place. Now, I was going to show this right here, but we're kind of out of time. Let me close out Bethy's. This right here, right? This is a video I did a while back. Right? So let me show you real quick. Let me show you my channel right here. This is the channel. Right? These are the lives we have done. And here's some videos I've done a while back. Now, when you look at this video right here, this is this one right here. Now, this was done a year ago. Okay, these were done a year ago. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, this one right here, it's like 5 minutes. What was the other one I did? I did this one on Margaret Sanger. I did this one right here as well. So these are some things that I've actually done. But this right here, this SKV, a lot of people like this one. I did it like real calm because I was pretty much just doing it myself. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of doing it myself. And I was just trying it out. Right? I was just trying it out. But I want to go here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hold on. Let's go forward a little bit. No, that ain't it. Let me come up a little bit. I want to come here. All right. Now, I'm going to play this for you because this is my little back and forth with the, and you guys can go back and look at it. You know, I'll put it in the link if you guys want to watch it. But this is one of the documents that I have played over time. I mean, sorry, my brain went somewhere else. This is a chat. This is a chat I did with the Chat GPT. And then I put it on a Word document, copied and paste. So I'm not going to take too much time of it. You know, I just want to kind of give you guys an idea about this. Now, if you remember when we go back here, right? When we go back here to, let's go back here. Hold on, let me get this out of here. Nah, I need to keep that. Keep that up. That's a client. Let's go back here to notice default. Yeah, I know you guys are looking at my files. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Don't look at it. My files, client stuff. All right. So remember, all right, so look, we're going to start here, then we're going to go there. Remember, let's just jog your memory real quick. Trustees deed upon sale, right? As I said, that this so-called grantee is the foreclosing bank, right? Supposed to be the foreclosing bank. As we saw down here, it's based on this deed of trust, instructed said trustee to vest this trustee's deed upon sale. It said grantee. So the foreclosing beneficiary, all this right here. So this is where you get the foreclosing bank. You remember the guy said, going once, going twice, sold back to the bank. That's trustees deed upon sale language, or what they call reverting back to the Where are we at here? Oh, yeah, I'm keeping that up. Naughty gave me that yesterday. What does reverting back to the beneficiary mean? All right. Now, you guys probably not asking, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm going to just say it anyway for the sake of argument. You guys are probably asking, why does he keep talking about this? Because there's a lot of money into it. A lot of money. Okay, reverting back to the beneficiary typically means, and everybody has one in their house. Now, I say everybody, I mean everybody. Somebody in somebody's family has had a mortgage, unless you guys pretty much stayed in projects your whole life. Or even, wait a minute, even in projects, I think there was mortgages in that too as well. I don't know. Never been in, well, kind of, yeah, I've been in the projects. I was a baby though. I don't remember. But reverting back to the beneficiary typically means that an asset such as property, and look, this is what we're going to be talking about. So we can, you feel me? Got it? All right. So reverting back to the beneficiary typically means that an asset such as property is returned to the original owner or their designated beneficiary after a foreclosure or similar process. So it's saying foreclosure or similar process. This can occur when the property does not sell at auction and instead goes back to the lender or beneficiary. Now, this is TD Insurance. Copy in this. Right click that thing. What is a revocable beneficiary in life insurance? Why did it go here? Why did it go there? Why did it go there? That ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. All right. I don't know why I did that, but it goes straight to trust, right? It goes back to a trust. That's the main thing. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come real quick. I'm gonna ask a quick question, and then we're gonna go get back to it. All right. So let me read this again. This can occur when the property does not sell at auction, instead goes back to the lender or beneficiary. So my first question is going to be, what's the difference between the lender or what's the difference between lender and beneficiary? Or can one name be put in place of the other? All right, so that's my question. What is the difference between lender or borrower? What is the difference between lender or borrower? Question mark. Also, can they be interchangeable? Let's see what it says. Okay, what does it say? Lender, the party that provides money or credit. Okay, that's not them. Based on what I showed you, that's not them. They expect repayment with possible interest and may enforce terms of repossess collateral if unpaid. Now, unless this bank was the original underwriter or the investor at closing in the initial contract. Because remember I said the actual so-called bank went belly up in 2008. That was one of the banks that went belly up with all these bad HELOCs and loans, mortgages they were doing at these high interest rates, and they ended up filing bankruptcy, and then the Four Horsemen picked them up. So if that's the case, then yeah, maybe they want to provide the money, but they never disclosed that. Okay, it says borrower, the party that receives the money or credit and is obligated to repay under the loan terms. All right. Oh, my bad. Beneficiary. Shit. Okay. Reset the question. I meant lender and beneficiary. Same question across the board. Across the board. Just substitute beneficiary. Oh. Beneficiary, the party named to receive benefits from a legal instrument, commonly the party entitled to receive payments or title under a deed of trust, trust, insurance policy, or will. All right, so receive payments or title under a deed of trust, trust, insurance policy, or will. Remember I told you about title insurance policy. There you go. So I'm right. Say we got deed of trust under a deed of trust. But remember, there's without covenant or warranty. See, this is how I'm getting you guys' brain to be functioning in the language, right? So I can quickly respond. So I'm from right to left. By will, can't be. Insurance policy, title insurance. Maybe they're claiming it beneficial interest through the policy. But their name is not on it. Through trust. Well, you got a deed of trust. So that deed of trust and trust. So now we're going to ask the difference between deed of trust and trust. What is the difference? What is the difference between deed of trust, comma, trust? It didn't say or trust. It said deed of trust, comma, trust. So the other one says party entitled to receive payments or title. Okay. So in receiving title, they had to receive title under a deed of trust, trust, insurance policy, or will. Okay, so the or is in there. So it's got to be one of these four or all of the above. Okay. So all right. What's the difference between the deed of trust and trust? I'm not gonna hit it yet. Not gonna hit it yet because I got to read the rest. In lending context, the beneficiary is often the lender or note holder. So they're the ones supposed to be holding that note. Or the lender. Now, if you remember what we've been talking about, they can't be the lender. They could be holding the note, but are they holding the unaltered, original, wet ink signature note? And what you need to know is that it's a note. Right? It's not an application. By what they say, it's not a deed of trust. It's not of this, it's not of that. It's a note. So it has to fall within all of the regulations, laws, and compliance of what a note is. All right, so keep that in your mind. See, we're getting somewhere. So it says, in lending context, the beneficiary is often the lender or note holder, but the term describes entitlement under that specific document rather than the act of lending. But wait a minute here. What did this say? What did this say? What did it say? What did it say? What did it say? No contact was made with the borrower pursuant because the above reference loan is not secured by a first lien mortgage or deed of trust that secures the loan or that encumbers real property. So that it's unsecured. Now, maybe they could say, well, we have rights to, how you say it? We have rights to make a call on that loan and demand payment after the 90 days. But how is that possible when you actually did what? On the 91st day, you filed a claim, you charged it off, and you sold the note. Because now somebody else is coming after me for that loan or for the payment and threatening foreclosure and to take property or real property behind something that you're saying I'm obligated to do under a contract. But really, it's not even a contract. It's a note. And if it's a note, as we looked in, we can go over here to Bills of Exchange Act, that the note is also considered a promissory note. All right? Promissory note. Now, let's get that. Can they be interchangeable? Often the same person / entity in many mortgage or deed of trust setups. The lender or holder of the promissory note. Damn, I said it before I even read it. There you go. Promissory note. Note holder. Holder of the promissory note. Yeah, I know. I'm good. I'm good. Is also the beneficiary named in the security instrument. Is also the beneficiary named in the security instrument. I'm just saying. Hey, I just asked a question. I just asked a question. They saying it. They telling you. So they agree with me. I ain't prompted. I just asked a question. Simple question. So they agree with me. Cool. Okay. Named in the security instrument. So lender equals beneficiary for that document. There we go. So as the beneficiary, they're also saying lender. Got that, right? Who's in the house? Hold on, who's listening? All right, truth be told, got that? Richie Rich, you there? You got that. You got that? Business? None of your business? Y'all there? You got that. Nonetheless, you got that. There, you got that? You got that. All right. You get that? Cool. So just know, beneficiary equals lender. So every time I'm looking at this word beneficiary, so let's go to 5. So every time I see the word beneficiary, I'm seeing lender. Bam. Come on now. All right. So I see trees of blue. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. And I think to myself, boy, they did a number. Beneficiary? Right? Beneficiary. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. Come on. Come on now. It is actually freezing up on me. All right. Come on, man. All right. So we're going to let that stall out for a little bit. Shit, me. There we go. So we're actually looking at lender. My bad. Lender. Boom. Where we at right here? So we got lender. So that beneficiary is lender. Now, if we know this to be true, and they haven't revealed any of this, right? So they haven't revealed, they haven't give disclosure on what these are to be. And these words, I should say, what these words are to mean. Because I don't think at any point in time I'm looking at shit. Hold on, let's. I'm not seeing lender. I am seeing beneficiary. Yeah, I'm seeing beneficiary. I'm not seeing lender. Now, I'm going to undo that. All right, so I'm going to undo that. Come back here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to trustees deed upon sale. All right. I have not played that or showed that just yet. This is a notice of trustees deed upon sale. I'm sorry. Notice of trustee sale. I'm sorry. Now, right here, it says, notice to potential bidders. Right? It says right here, if you are considered bidding on this property, now keep that in mind. What we just saw in Long Beach, we just saw that quick little video. And you just saw the other things that I've shown over the last few days, just kind of reiterated so you guys get comfortable with the language and what you're looking at. Keep that in mind. If you are considering bidding on this property lien, you should understand there are risks involved in bidding at a trustee auction. You will be bidding on a lien, not on the property itself. Now, if anybody with common sense will say, well, what if I'm bidding on a lien, I'm not bidding on the property? Well, explain that. If I'm bidding on a lien and not the property itself, number one, what does the lien entail, and what is the property? What is that? This is where things get confusing. But they're using these words, and at no point in time in here, you will see loan. You only see lien. So what type of lien is it? Is it secured or is it unsecured? Because that's all you're dealing with. You have unsecured or secured liens, or what they call secured and unsecured credit. Now, as we see right here in this declaration, got to show you again, the reference loan, they got loan here in the notice of default, but they showing that it's not secured by a first lien mortgage. Or what about a first loan mortgage? Is there a difference between loan and lien? Yeah, the vowels. But they're using loan and lien interchangeably. That's why I asked the question. See what I'm saying? All right. So when we come back here, it says, well, lender equals beneficiary. Now, we have a problem. So anybody that owns a home, bought a home, or anything of that nature in the past or whatever, has a mortgage, completed paying off a mortgage, whatever your situation might be, reverse mortgage, whatever situation you might be in. Did you know that? There it is. Did you know it? All right. Let's continue. Not always a beneficiary can be a different party. Not always. Oh, there's the colon. Let me clean my glasses. Let me clean them. I didn't see that colon. Can they be interchangeable? Let's go bullet. It says on the second one, it says not always can they be interchangeable. A beneficiary can be a different party. For example, an assignee, trustee, or insurance beneficiary. Not, well, okay. So not always a beneficiary can be a different party. And those are the ones who has an entitlement under the instrument, while a different party originally made the. Okay, but that's in the situation, right? That's in this situation. So this entitlement under the instrument. Entitlement under the instrument. So that's my second question. What does that mean? Obviously, this is going to go a little bit longer than I thought. Let me go back here. Nobody's in the chat. Nobody's in the queue waiting. So we're good. So that's my second question. Entitlement under the instrument. What does that mean? But let's get to this first. It says, bottom line, the lender is defined by providing the loan. The beneficiary is defined by who is entitled under a particular legal document. They can coincide, but are not automatically identical. All right. So this is the process they're using in non-judicial foreclosure states like California, because this is what they do. This is what I brought in and I talked about yesterday. I talked about insurance. I talked about the substitution of trustee. I talked about the corporate assignment of deed of trust. Everything has been addressed. These are your non-judicial foreclosure documents, except for the insurance. The insurance comes prior. After 90 days, on the 91st day, accounts receivable, they then take out a claim on that title insurance policy, or what I showed up here with the insurance policy based on those circumstances, or will, because if you look at when I'm going to show you and look at Schedule B of the title insurance policy, it looks as if that's a will in some form or fashion. So you have a corporate assignment of deed of trust. You have a substitution of trustee. You then have a notice of default. And in that notice of default, that is the insurance policy. Is what I just showed. Right? This is page 4 of the notice of default. You guys, is making sense a little bit? Just kind of showing you. Is it making sense a little bit? Hopefully it is. Now, let's go to the question. What's the difference between a deed of trust and trust? Deed of trust, a security instrument used in some states for real estate loans. It involves three parties: trustor, lender, beneficiary, and a neutral third party, trustee, which is usually the title company. The borrower conveys legal title to the trustee as security for the loan. Legal title to the trustee as security for the loan. We'll talk about that another time. If the borrower defaults, the trustee can sell the property non-judicial foreclosure to satisfy the beneficiary. Its primary purpose is to secure repayment of a promissory note. I'm not going to get into a deep one. I just want to ask these questions, then we'll move on. Trust, revocable, irrevocable, a fiduciary arrangement in which a grantor transfers assets to a trustee to hold and manage for one or more beneficiaries according to the trust terms. Revocable or irrevocable. Can a deed of trust be revocable or irrevocable? Maybe. Trust governs asset management, distribution, tax planning, and probate avoidance. They are not by themselves loan security devices. Parties. Grantor creates a trust. Sound like a trustor to me. Trustee, manage assets. Same thing here. Beneficiary, receive benefits. Same thing here. You see? Key differences. We don't need to know that. All right. I'm going to copy and paste all this. Now it says entitlement under the instrument. What does that mean? Damn. Entitlement under the instrument means the legal right to receive whatever the written document, the instrument, provides for. In other words, who the document says gets the benefit, interest, payment, or title. Now, are they using these assignments and these substitution, these non-judicial foreclosure documents as the actual legal instruments? I'm going to say yeah, because it says right here in the trustee's deed upon sale, right, that all this was done under the deed of trust as trustee, whereas so designated in the deed of trust. You're under more particularly described or as duly appointed trustee. So everything is done under this deed of trust. All right. Now, let's get over here to this. Hold on real quick. Hold on. All right, we're good there. We're good there. All right, yeah, we're good. We're good there. All right, let's listen to a little bit. It's talking about these obligor situation. Right, all this is based off the gift, a donor-donee relationships, and what we call the ors versus the e's. Let's just put a apostrophe there. This is what you have everywhere. You have trustor, trustee, grantor, grantee, mortgagor, mortgagor, so on and so forth. All right. So let's take a look at this. So first we're going to break down clearly and then related to deeds of trust, mortgage, REITs, and REMICs, right? REITs are real estate investment trusts and REMICs are real estate mortgage investment conduits. Plain English breakdown of the passage, right? Some older or generational dictionaries incorrectly define the word obligee in a way that confuses it with obligor. Usually in there, they say you're the obligor, meaning you're the one obligated to do something. Obligee is the one that is receiving or the one that can enforce the obligation. Let's see what this say. Okay, so examples of the mistake. Random House College Dictionary says an obligee is a person who is under obligation. But that definition actually describes an obligor. Okay, an obligor is the one who owes a duty or obligation. An obligee is the one to whom the obligation is owed, i.e. the creditor or beneficiary. And that is wrong. This is right. See, Random House College Dictionary, right? Okay, so you see right here, Random House College Dictionary, 1988, and Webster New World Dictionary, 1979, define obligee in its etymological sense, obliged, as if it were synonymous with obligor. Random House, for example, defines obligee as a person who is under obligation, but that meaning ought to be reserved for obligor. An obligee in modern usage is one to whom an obligation is owed. See, this is how they flipped it around. The obligee is the one that is the one obliged. They have the obligation. How can an obligee not have the obligation, but at the same time, the trustee has an obligation, has a fiduciary responsibility, right? So it just, as I showed you in a donor-donee situation, the donee is to whom a gift is made or bequest given. A donee of power is the person to whom the settlor or donor of power of appointment gives such power to be exercised. That's the donee. One who is invested with a power of appointment. Okay? And the donor is the one that creates the trust. Right? So these are the usages that they're doing these days to confuse the situation. So this is the modern usage. An obligor is the one who owes a duty or obligation. So an obligee is the one to whom the obligation is owed, i.e. the creditor or beneficiary. Now, an obligee in modern usage, right? But before, it was different. So the obligee is the one that's actually transferring the trust in a way where it gets tricky, right? So we come back over here to this right here, to the SSDKV area. We're going to go down here. And we're going to, let's go here. So in trust law, beneficiary or SSDK is the person or persons who are entitled to benefit of any trust arrangement. Beneficiary will normally be a natural person, but it is perfectly possible to have a company as the beneficiary of a trust. And this also often happens in sophisticated commercial transactions structures, like a deed of trust, right? So where a trust gives rise to sequential interest from a tax perspective, it is often necessary to differentiate beneficiaries sequentially between those with invested interests, such as tenants for life, okay, and for the purpose of various exercise of beneficiary rights. So this right here is the main thing. So for the purpose of various exercise of beneficiary, it's often necessary to distinguish between beneficiaries under a bare trust, including a constructive or resulting trust, to whom the trustee owes basic duties arising by law, and beneficiaries under an express trust, with an inter vivos trust or a testamentary trust, where the trustee owes additional duties and has additional powers specified by the trust instrument. So if so where we at here? All right, so to keep this running. Let me close this out so I can look at my chat at the same time and bring this one back by itself. Let me bring this back by itself. All right, let's bring this back by itself. Bring it up. This is it's intricate, to say the least. We kind of if you're trying to get an understanding of what you got in front of you. So the management part of it, right? So the management part of being a trustor, grantee, a trustor, trustee, grantor, grantee, donor, donee. It is very intricate. I want to come forward. We're going to get here. All right. So people that know me, I go to this all the time. This right here is like my staple. This is corpus juris secundum. These are notes within corpus juris secundum. And 90 is is like volume, or it's his section. It's volume 90 and section 162. All right, this is dealing with trust. If something has a trust on it, I'm just getting my faculties together, get my words together so I can break this down properly. You can't go outside of it. If this is a trust relationship, then it must stick to the rules. I cannot go on a basketball court with cleats and a football and a helmet. I must be properly suited for that occasion. I must have tennis shoes on that do not destroy the floor. I must wear shorts, tank top, uniform. That is my that's my attire. that can't go on a basketball court with a baseball bat. It don't fit. My court must be 94 by 50. 94 feet in length, 50 feet in width. My basketball court can be no higher than 10 feet. It must have a glass backboard with a square. It must have a rim with a net. It has to follow all of the rules of what basketball is to be. It cannot go outside of that. Anything that goes outside of that is not basketball. I got to give it to my sports. I got to do that. I mean, I'm not a coach for it, for nothing. I got to go where I'm comfortable in maybe explaining to the people. For those that watch sports, if you don't watch sports, I think you got a clear idea that, you know, the parameters of what basketball is. You see somebody with a baseball bat and cleats on, with a helmet and a football on the other side, you know he ain't a basketball player. You're going to be like, what is he doing out there? Or she. Shout out to the WNBA. But if it's a trust that is set up, and it is saying this is a deed of trust, then it must pertain, and also it has a trustor, trustee, and a beneficiary. So that means it is a trust. Now, the interesting thing in that deed of trust and the definitions that I was showing, it actually was saying that you convey, you grant and convey all rights and title over there. But as a trustor, you don't do that. You don't grant and convey anything. As a trustor, you are in control. Because the original most powerful words to a trust is right here on this first line. Creator, settlor. And this first one talks about intention of creator or settlor in a trust. So it says violation of intent, substitution of discretion. Neither court nor beneficiary, not legislature, is competent to violate settlor's intent and substitute its discretion for that of settlor. So if that's the case, then that's the case. Hold on real quick. Mailman. Hey, how you doing? I got you. I got you. Appreciate it. Thank you. You're welcome. So, now we have an issue here. What's the issue? In the relationship of what we have here, and I'm going to go through this video real quick, and then I'll jump back to the main big screen. We're going to share everything. We're going to jump back over here to what is a deed of trust. Can somebody define what a deed of trust is? Because obviously we have an issue. There's some confusion here. I should cut them some notes. It talks about intention of creator or settlor, right? So there's creation, right? Because you created a trust, right? By the donor's definition, right? Violation of intent, substitution of discretion, neither court nor beneficiary, not legislature, is competent to violate settlor's intent and substitute its discretion for that of settlor. Okay? So whatever your intent is not to be violated. And if the intent is to create a trust through the donor-donee relationship, through the gift, then that is what it is. So that's a resulting trust. A resulting trust is like an implied trust. It's set up in a way to where it hasn't been fully expressed what your intent is. So that's why when you get down here to you got you got deposits for specific purposes, right? And then you have, where is it at? Okay, banks and banking, right? So when you get into banks and banking, this is where you get into your special deposits, right? So this explains it. Special deposit is a delivery of property, securities, or even money to the bank for the purpose of having the same safely kept and identical thing deposited, returned to the depositor, or won for some specific purpose, such as deposits discussed. Not contemplating that credit on general account may also be defined as one held for a particular purpose in identical or equivalent form as when deposited, subject to return at any time and no commingled by the depository with other funds or assets of the bank. A special deposit is the deliverer of either money or chattel to a bank under a special agreement or under circumstances sufficient to create a trust, right? One who creates a trust. All right. Or a deposit accompanied by agreement that the identical will be returned or paid out for a specific purpose, or a bailment, agency, or trust, whereby a bank keeps or transmits the identical property or funds entrusted to it. So there we go. So everything that you're doing, regardless, under the system that is today, you're setting up a trust. Everything that happened from the beginning was all set up under trust, in which they have now they have figured out how to circumvent that in order to get access to your estate under a servicer, as a servicer, and then be able to claim a beneficiary to your estate. If you look at your deed of trust, your trustor, trustee, beneficiary, the bank is going to be the beneficiary. How is that? You gotta ask yourself that question. In this area right here, we have banks and banking, special or trust deposits. This is where I want to start off with. Right, so a deposit of public funds may be entitled to priority without regard to whether there is a prerogative or statutory right of preference in favor, whether certain, right, either or. You can use either or. In the absence of sufficient special circumstances, however, a deposit of public funds, in the absence, a deposit of public funds, like a deposit of other. I'm trying to get to down here where it says, right below where it says relationship between bank and depositor. All right, there we go. There is no debtor and creditor relationship between bank and bank entitle it to priority. So even in this situation, you're still the creditor, right? Relationship between. All right, so let me read that real quick. So right here, it says, in the absence, right here, what right above relationship bank and banker, between bank and depositor, it says, in the absence of sufficient special circumstances, however, a deposit of public funds, like a deposit or other monies, creates merely a general deposit giving rise to the relation of debtor and creditor, relation of debtor and creditor. And the mere fact that all public monies are, broadly speaking, trust funds or held in trust by the officer depositing them does not of itself render a deposit of such funds a special or trust deposit so as to entitle it to priority. But prior to that, initially it said that the mere fact that all public monies are broadly speaking, trust funds. Now we go back here, it says to the first sentence, in the absence of sufficient special circumstances. However, a deposit of public funds. Now, what is public funds? Remember, 18 USC subsection 8, 31 USC 5118, amongst other things. Title 12, lawful money, right? Considered to be lawful money or money under the United States. Those are what you would consider public monies, for the fact that you can't use gold and silver in the discharge of any debts or payments of any debts, I would say. Not discharge, but payments of debts. So any public monies, any monies that are considered to be recognized in the United States, and you would know what is considered to be public monies in 18 USC subsection 8. It tells you specifically what it is. Now, if we say public funds, like a deposit of other monies, like a deposit of other monies, creates merely a general deposit. General deposit is what every single one of you do every day. You do general deposits, giving rise to a relation of debtor and creditor. All right. Now, there's another document that I have in here that specifically states that and I'm going to show you this after I finish reading. I'm not going to jump around here. That shows you that a general deposit creates a creditor-debtor relationship where the depositor is the creditor and the bank is the debtor. And this is why the bank can write those off as losses. All right. Now, so it says right here, we'll get into the relationship between bank and depositor. I'll let that guy, whoever that guy is, read it. Okay. So this is going to let you know what your relationship is based on your deposit. There is no debtor and creditor relation between the bank in which special deposit is made and its special depositor, their status or relation being that of agent and principal to entitle it to priority. So we start over again. Even in this situation, you're still the creditor, right? Relationship between bank and banker. Okay. So this is going to let you know what your relationship is based on your deposit. There is no debtor and creditor relation between the bank in which special deposit is made and its special depositor, their status or relation being that of agent and principal, bailey, bailor, or trustee and cestui trust. All right, so right there. So this is dealing with special deposit. Above that, it's more kind of talking about the general deposit realm. But it's saying when you do it by special deposit, there is no creditor-debtor relationship, or there's no debtor and creditor relation, where then a special deposit arises. And once you make sure that, and all this relies on your endorsement. All this relies with the specific instructions that are made, and that is what you call specially endorsement. They don't use the term special deposit anymore, but special deposit is within the rules. You got to just express it. If you don't express it, you waive it. That express trust will then become a resulting or an implied trust, where then it's been endorsed in blank and the deposit, well, the depositary, I think that's what it's called, depositary, or what you consider to be the financial institution, then can now utilize those deposits the way they feel it could be used. But you still are the creditor, though. I mean, don't feel like it's all in. You still are the creditor. You still are the creditor. But we have this right here. Now, if you look right here, this is in corporate juris secundum. And this goes to, you tell anybody, oh, that Section KV Act and this Section K Trust, that ain't real, that ain't real. Well, this is corporate juris secundum. Okay? This is corpus juris secundum. All right? I'm going to let this finish and I'm going to show you corpus juris secundum. Okay. Title to the thing deposit does not pass to the bank but remains in the depositor, the latter retaining the right of control and disposition. Thus, the depositor retains title to the thing deposited and the bank acts as a bailee. So, now, we're talking mortgage here, right? We're talking mortgage. We're talking mortgage here. We're talking mortgage. I'm going to move a little bit faster. Move a little bit faster. All right, so we're talking mortgage. We're talking mortgage, right? And we're looking at the oh, you good, none of your business. I ain't been doing nothing but what I normally been doing. So so we got the relationship. So let's talk about mortgages, right? So we're in the mortgage realm. So let's just say you write to the title, right? Write to a title of the thing. So as it says right here in this aspect of it right here, it says, thus the depositor retains title to the thing deposited. And you see it says thing. And it's using the word title to the thing deposited, and the bank acts as bailee. So in mortgages, we have been talking about title, right? So when we come over here, we talk about title. Trust instrument, beneficiary's name in the trust are entitled to its distributions. Entitlement. We have up right here, we have trustees, we have title insurance, we have all the things that we have. Let's go here. So as we come down, boom, what we're going to do is we're going to go to page 1. Let's go to page 1. Fidelity National Title Company. We go to the preliminary title report where it says right here, the estate or interest in the land hereafter described or referred to covered by this report is a fee or fee simple. Title to said estate. Title to said estate or interest at the date hereof is vested in. Right? And that's the name of the owner. We come down here. My bad. We come down here. It says number 3, the land referred to in this report is described as follows. Land. Right? That is a homestead declaration. Here's the subordination agreement. Right? We have right here. Owner of the land is circled. Herein described as owner. When we come down here, we have a QSIP number. Ooh, we don't need to worry about that right now. We have the trustee's deed upon sale. So right here it says, does hereby grant and convey to such and such, herein called grantee, but without covenant or warranty, express or implied, all right, title, and interest. How is that possible? This is not even express or implied. So what does it mean? If it's not express or implied, then what does it mean? If it doesn't have, if it's without covenant or warranty, what does that mean? Now, what I'm gonna do real quick before we get to the Black's Law, I'm gonna ask the question: what actually is a deed of trust in 10 words or less? A security document giving a trustee title to secure a loan. All right. A security document. That's what a deed of trust is. Now, when we went over here, now I went to SAC Law Library, right? SAC Law Library. Right? Went over here to SAC Law Library. It says what? Let's go to home. Let's go visit our find home. Let's look up deed of trust. Bam. Promissory note. See also deed of trust. Let's take a look and see what that promissory note looked like. So if a security document, so if a deed of trust in 10 words or less is a security document giving a trustee title to secure a loan. To secure a loan. Okay. Expound in 10 words or less. What you mean by secure a loan. Provide collateral so lender can recover money if borrower defaults. All right. Provide collateral so lender can recover money if borrower defaults. That's what we have. Remember, UCC 5-102. Applicant, definitions, applicant. Also reference letters of credit in that definition. Also reference beneficiary in those definitions in 5-102. See all those things. One that extends a credit. So applicant is one that extends a letter of credit, an applicant. You fill out the application. So who extended the letter of credit? Now, even what I showed in the special deposits and in corporate juris secundum, you also see that even in a general deposit, or what you would consider to be a deposit of any type of monies, public funds or whatever it might be, you are at least a creditor. Says it right there. Now, if anything has been endorsed specially, then you definitely have created a trust and you are the one that extended the funds. All right. Now, where are we at here? All right, so boom. Now, we're going to go over here to revert back. Okay, so we already did that. That's what we went back to before. So we already went back and said it's sold back to the beneficiary. So that's where we're at right there. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to show you corpus juris secundum. Right, I keep this tabbed. Right, online books page, corpus juris. Corpus juris. Right, corpus juris. It's complete and systematic statement of the whole body of the law as a body in and developed by all reported decisions published in the early 20th century. Corpus juris began in 1914 in the last regular volume. Volume 71 was published in 1935. All right. Here is your volumes. There we go. Money lent, money paid, money received, monopolies. We'll get to that soon. And mortgages. We'll get to that soon. Keep these things tabbed. It's not for today. I just keep it tabbed. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go and look up a couple words. And then we're done. and then we're done. Hold on, am I done? Am I done? Hold on, let's go back up here. Let's see. All right, hold on. Let's go here. These mortgagor, mortgagee. Right. So let's come down here. So here's your deeds of trust. 3 parties are involved. The trustor or borrower, and then they're the obligor. So that's just a simple fact that they actually usually endorse it in blank and give implication. Okay. Rigid, why they're the ones that are considered to be the. Yep, that's enough of that. All right, so what we're going to do is go to Bailey. Let's go to Bailey. Let's go to Bailey. I was trying to find my, all right, Bailey. All right. So, Bailey. Let's go to bail. We got to go to the thing. We got to go to the main one. Bail. To procure the release of a person from legal custody by undertaking that he shall appear at the time and place designated, submit himself to the jurisdiction and judgment of the court. All right. So that's bail. That's bail. Let's go over here to Bailey. In the law of contracts, one to whom goods are bailed, the party to whom personal property is delivered under a contract of bailment, a species of agent to whom something movable is committed in trust for another. All right. This is in the law of contracts. Now, that's a whole nother conversation over here to what we're dealing with this prison stuff, right? With the courts. All right, so there's your Bailey. Now we're going to go to Sesticay. Sesticay. Go over here to Sesticay. Oh, boy. There we go. Let's go to Sesticay. All right. Sesticay Trust. Get it big. He who has a right to a beneficial interest in and out of an estate, the legal title to which is vested in another. All right, remember, when you go here, these documents are in your drawer, in your cabinet, somewhere in your files. If you ain't got it, go get it. All you got to do, you can see on your deed of trust. Now, this is California now. I know what goes on in other states. I mean, I kind of do, but it's usually different. They don't use the word deed of trust. They use security deed, mortgage, note, use all these different things. But what is going on in California, go get this. All you got to do is go to a title company and say, hey, I need you to pull the title report, a title report for this address going all the way back to the beginning. You might have to pay $250 for it, but that $250 is going to go a long way. Some people might be nice. They might just pull it for you. Or if you say, hey, let's just go back to this date when I first got it. Even if you ain't got it anymore. All right. So It says right here, title to said estate or interest at the date hereof is vested. The estate or interest in the land hereafter described or referred to covered by this report is a fee. A fee simple. The land referred to in this report, the land, the title, the estate. Here we go, right here. So when we come back here, it says what? He who has a right to a beneficial interest in and out of an estate, the legal title to which is vested in another. All right. Now this certificate trust, this beneficiary, or not a beneficiary in whole, it's a beneficial interest. All right. Because when you go here, this name that's blotted out is the company, is that bank, but it's not the same as the bank that actually did the foreclosure. Somebody different. All right. So this is where clarity needs to be made dealing with this issue. All right. So it says the person who possesses the equitable right to property and receives the rents, issues, and profits thereof, the legal estate of which is vested in a trustee. So that insurance policy, I had to take my glasses off on that one. So this title report right here had just turned this individual right here into a trustee and made this bank right here the Sesticade Trust. Because usually this individual right here in these things, when they're doing closing, has to pay for title insurance. They pay the title insurance with their name on it. So they're actually paying to insure them. So if they are paying, they're occupying as what? Who's the trustor? They have to be the grantor, donor, or something in the matter, but they definitely are the trustee in this title insurance policy. Well, now it says, I think that's it. So it says beneficiary of a trust. All right. Sesticade use, he for whose use and benefit lands or tenements are held by another. All right. All right. Now, hold on, man. All right, so look, come back here. All right. Remember I read off donor. I mean, I can't remember all these, so it's just taking me somewhere. So this donor says that in Old English law, well, it says right here, the party conferring the power, one who makes a gift, one who creates a trust. But it also says he who gives lands or tenements to another entail. This says the Sesticade use, he for whose use and benefit lands or tenements are held by another. So we have use and benefit of the land. And the tenements, or do we? Because it's being held by another. What is the held part? What is the held? Is the held over here that you're on the land, or the held is that you have all the interest because you're the one getting paid? Sesticade use is you're getting benefits from it, right? So let's see what the next sentence says. The Sesticade use has the right to receive the profits and benefits of the estate. All right, so that answered my question. but the legal title and possession, as well as the duty of defending the same, reside in the other. So, okay, so I'm the other. So I'm the other. And the bank is the one receiving the profits and the benefits of the estate. And it's true, because we don't get we don't make no money off the estate. We're paying. We're paying. We're paying. All right. Hey, we can end it on that one. Yeah, we can end it on that one. Ain't nothing else to talk about. All right, so look. Appreciate everybody coming up. What time is it? 3:33. It's 5:17. I did put the link pinned. I didn't pin it at the top. That shift colors. All right, hold on. Wow. Well, see, when I go back over this stuff, it's like, man, it's like I'm learning it all over again. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I just pinned the title to the top. And anybody want to come up, come on up. I apologize, it took too long, but it took me all over the place. It took me all over the place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it a minute. And as soon as this song, the old dude, little music is gone, we done.